Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an Insight, Episode 171. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dear devotees, in the previous episode, we listened to the dream vision of Dr. Vinayak Rao Gopinath Hate, and in continuation to that, he requested his friend Kaka Saheb Dikshit to fulfill his desire of offering chida items and valpapadi vegetable along with the dakshana of rupees 10 to Sri Sai Baba, which was done by Dikshit ji, and Sri Sai Maharaj, on accepting the same, handed over the vegetables to Jaya Nimonkar, that is, wife of Nana Saheb Nimonkar. She cooked it and brought it to Dwarakamai to offer. Now, devotees, listen carefully to understand how Dr. Hate's loving devotion and the offering was accepted by Sri Sai Maharaj. Jaya Nimonkar stepped into the masjid, and as usual, other devotees had also brought their food offerings. So, there were varieties of dishes such as sweets, rice, soup, roti, and so on. All of these were placed in rows in the presence of Sri Sai Maharaj, who was seated facing his back to the nimbar. After all the food offerings were received, Sri Sai Baba would mix all of them in the kolamba, consecrate it. After that, all the devotees would partake the prasadam, and Sri Sai Baba would also have a small portion of it. But to the amazement of all the devotees present there, that noon Sri Sai Maharaj gulped just the flat beans curry, morsels after morsels. After this instance, Dikshit wrote to Gwalior describing all the events connected to the offering to Dr. Hate, and he underscored the point that, leaving aside the other varieties of food offering, Sri Sai Baba was keen to eat the valpapadi curry. Dr. Hate read this letter and was greatly moved. His eyes were filled with tears of joy. His heart melted reading the lines from the letter. The deeds of Sri Sai Maharaj is a testimony for the dream vision of Dr. Hate and also reveals his acceptance of the offering. This miracle is parallel to the one narrated in the devotees' experiences of the great Mahan Sri Pundi Swamiji, says Ramanathan brother. Sri Pundi Swamiji was called by the name Atra Swamigal. Swamiji was seated on the pyal of a house at Kalasapakam, about 20 miles away from Tiruvannamalai. Hence, he was also known as Thinnai Swamiyar. The term veranda is called as Thinnai in Tamil. Sri Pundi Swamiji was staying in a village known as Pundi, so was also known as Pundi Swamigal. He was an Avadut, that is, the one who has transcended the state of body consciousness. So, the responsibility of taking care of him lies in the hands of the devotees. Otherwise, they would never care for it. Sri Pundi Swamiji was a great Mahan who was a personification of the Ajagara Bhava or the immobile state as defined in the Yoga Shastras. Similar to the divine play of Sri Sai Maharaj, at various circumstances, Sri Pundi Swamiji had appeared in the dream vision of his devotees, kindled their prema bhakti, and accepted their loving offerings. Let's listen to the incredible Leela now. There is a village near Kalasapakam by named Kottandavadi, and there lived an ardent devotee by named Kamalamma. Sri Pundi Swamiji appeared in her dream and asked, "Mother, can you prepare flat beans curry tomorrow and bring it to me?" Devotees, please make a note. The great souls are beyond likes and dislikes, but for the sake of performing a divine sport, they pretend as though they have a liking for few items. Kamalamma woke up from her sleep and was immensely happy recalling the dream. The next morning, she was busy cooking the vegetable in ghee. At the same time, at Pundi, Swamigal kept on repeating the words Kottandavadi Avarakai, Kottandavadi Avarakai. Avarakai means flat beans. A fervent devotee by named Subramanya Swami at Pundi was the one who attended to Sri Pundi Swamiji day and night. He heard Sri Pundi Swamiji repeatedly saying Kottandavadi Avarakai and wondered the reason for this. He assumed that Swamiji might be willing to eat flat beans that day, so went to the market, bought the vegetable, got it cooked and brought it to Swamiji to feed him. But Pundi Mahan refused to eat it and turned his face to the other side. Subramanya Swami was puzzled at this refusal of Sri Pundi Mahan. Within few minutes after this incident, Kamalamma, as per her dream, cooked flat beans in and brought the dish to offer it to Sri Pundi Mahan. As soon as she came, she tried to feed the vegetable to Sri Pundi Swamiji, and to the astonishment of all, Sri Pundi Mahan relished the flat beans and ate all of it. Kamalamma's heart was filled with joy. Thus, Kamalamma's love was acknowledged by Sri Pundi Swamiji. Therefore, in both the above Leelas, be it Sri Sai Maharaj or Sri Pundi Swamigal, both of them pretended as though they were keen to eat flat beans and played a sport to appreciate and portray the loving devotion of their beloved devotees. These Leelas reinforced their belief upon their Guru. Hemat Panji has described another astounding Leela experienced by Captain Hathe. Captain Hathe felt that it would be a great blessing to have a coin blessed by the holy hands of Sri Sai Maharaj. He thought if the coin had the divine touch of Sri Sai Baba, then he can place it in his puja altar and worship it every day. He assumed that this is one way of expressing his devotion to Sri Sai Maharaj. Thus, he decided to send his coin to any devotee that would go to Shiradi and get the coin blessed by the divine hands of Sri Sai Maharaj. At that juncture, one of his friends told him about his plan to go to Shiradi. Dr. Hathe handed over a 1 rupee coin to him, and how that was consecrated by Sri Sai Baba can be heeded shortly. Before moving on to that, if we ponder how this friend came to Shiradi for Sri Sai Maharaj's darshan is by itself another great miracle. Though it is not mentioned in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, I have collected some details from various Sai literatures which I would like to share with the devotees now, says Ramanathan brother. Captain Hathe's friend's name is mentioned as Salluram, and in some literatures it is given as Savalram. This person is a close friend of Captain Hate. He had a son who was married. They were leading a happy life, and suddenly Salluram's son, who was married and leading a happy life with his wife, was missing. This brought a deep sorrow and shock to Salluram, his wife and daughter-in-law. They were living in Gwalior, and he shared his grief of missing the son with his friend Captain Hate. He said, even after a diligent search, we are not getting any clues about him. At that moment, Captain Hate suggested Salluram to go to Shiradi, have Sri Sai Baba's darshan, and said, Sri Sai Maharaj would give the whereabouts of your lost son. This is the best way to find him. So, without any further delay, go to Shiradi. Salluram was already very upset as he could not find his son. The distance from Gwalior to Shiradi was almost 956 kilometers. His mind was not ready to take up this tedious journey. So he told Captain Hate that he will certainly go to Shiradi as soon as he gets any message from his son, or even if he gets any news from any of his acquaintances about his son, he would immediately travel to Shiradi and have Sri Sai Baba's darshan. Within few days after this discussion, Salluram got a letter from his lost son stating that I was seeking for a job opportunity and I didn't find any suitable job. I decided to join the army. As I feared that you would not permit me to go, I left home without informing anyone. At present, I am posted at Mesopotamia, that is in Iraq, and I am coming to Mumbai, so will come home to meet you all soon. Salluram felt very happy to have received a letter from his son, so he immediately rushed to Captain Hate's clinic and informed the good news to him. Now, Dr. Hate reminded him of his woe and advised him to go to Shiradi immediately, as Sri Sai's grace will bring all prosperity in their life. Salluram, instead of going to Shiradi from Gwalior, he directly went to Mumbai. In fact, Shiradi is approximately 939 kilometers from Gwalior, whereas Mumbai is almost 1,355 kilometers away. Still, out of curiosity to meet his son who is returning home, Salluram and the whole family went to Mumbai. Though he was happy to see his son back, at the same time he was shocked to notice that his son's health conditions were very bad. He looked like a frame of skeleton, completely drained out. A person who left the home healthy is now very sick with high temperature and seemed to suffer from unknown health challenges. He was neither able to sit nor stand. His body was very weak. Now they all turned to Gwalior, and Salluram took his son to Dr. Hate to find out the health issues of his son. So the whole family came to the clinic. Dr. Hate was upset with his friend Salluram. He said, "Why don't you listen to my advice and go for Sri Sai Baba's darshan first? Even now it's not too late. Just take your son along with you to Shiradi and surrender all the issues at the lotus feet of Sri Sai Baba. Your son will recover soon." Salluram said, "I will certainly go to Shiradi, but at least start the treatment so he can feel little better and his conditions will also improve." Accordingly, Dr. Hate prescribed some medicines and then said, "Now there is no need to even go home. From here you start to Shiradi straight away." Salluram told Dr. Hate that he is starting to Shiradi, and they left the clinic. Devotees, at the beginning of the episode, we listened to the desire of Dr. Hate, that is, to get a coin consecrated by Sri Sai Baba, keep in his puja altar and worship the same daily. So now he decided to send a 1 rupee coin through Saluram and requested him to give it to Sri Sai Maharaj and get it back with his blessings. The conversation took place between Dr. Hate, Saluram and his son, but was not known to the wife and daughter-in-law of Saluram as they were waiting outside. The family of Saluram went to Shirdi, had darshan of Sri Sai Baba, and Saluram's son prostrated at the holy feet of Sri Sai Baba. Sri Sai Maharaj blessed them and asked for dakshana. At that moment, Saluram gave the dakshana that he wished to offer in the holy palm of Sri Sai Baba. Sri Sai pocketed it into his kafni and again Sri Sai Baba stretched his palms. Now Saluram remembered the request of his friend Captain Hate and he immediately placed that 1 rupee coin in Sri Sai Baba's palms. And before he could even voice out the request of Captain Hate to Sri Sai Maharaj, Sri Sai Baba picked up the coin, brought it close to his eyes and looked at it for a moment. Then he flipped the coin with his right thumb and then rolled it in his palm and played with it. Again, after looking at it for a minute, Sri Sai Baba said, "Hand over this coin to its owner and tell him that I am not expecting anything from him. Ask him to lead a happy, prosperous and contented life. Deliver this message as pronounced by me." After these assertions, Sri Sai Maharaj handed over the coin to Saluram. Saluram was wonderstruck at the omniscience of Sri Sai Maharaj. Captain Hate desired to have the coin consecrated by Sri Sai Baba, but even before Saluram could convey the request of Captain Hate to Sri Sai Baba, Baba, with his clairvoyance, consecrated the coin and showered his benevolence upon Captain Hate. Isn't this incredible? Whereas the dakshana given by Saluram was not returned to him. Now, Saluram took the udip received from Sri Sai Baba and smeared upon his son's body. From that moment, his health began to show signs of improvement. With the blessings of Sri Sai Baba, they took leave and returned to Gwalior. As soon as they reached their home, he went to meet Dr. Hate. Dr. Hate was very curious and immediately inquired about their darshan and requested for Sri Sai Baba's Udi Prasadam and the coin. The moment Saluram gave the Udi and the coin to Dr. Hate, he felt that this was not the same coin that he had previously given for getting consecrated by Sri Sai Maharaj. Devotees, though these details are not penned down in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, it is mentioned in Sri Sai Leela magazine and in various Sai literatures. Hence, Ramanathan brother is sharing them with all the Sai devotees here. Immediately, Captain Hate, without giving a deeper thought, spoke thus: "This doesn't seem to be the coin I had given to you." Saluram was in a fix. He began to ponder upon it. "We have brought the coin that was consecrated by Sri Sai Maharaj, but why Captain Hate feels that this is a different one?" Pondering upon it, he returned home and recalled all the incidences that happened in Shirdi and the conversation that took place between him and Dr. Hate with his wife. That's when his wife said, "Oh, what Dr. Hate says is right. As soon as Sri Sai Baba gave the coin, I immediately kept it safely as it was blessed by Baba and placed it in our puja altar. I wasn't aware that the coin belongs to Dr. Hathe and must be returned to him. Saying so, she went and brought the coin blessed by Sri Sai Maharaj. Instantly, Saluram took it and gave it to Captain Hathe and begged his pardon for the confusions. Devotees, isn't this a great wonder that Captain Hathe was able to perceive that the coin was not the one blessed by Sri Sai Baba? This reflects his spiritual maturity and the loving devotion he had upon Sri Sai Maharaj. There was another devotee who also wished to have a coin consecrated by Sri Sai Maharaj. Did his wish fulfill? Let's listen to those inexplicable leelas in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.